Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my second of 3 assemblies on the theme of importance. This morning, the assembly is aiming to encourage you to realise that everyone is important and that school and home would just not be the same without you. So, to demonstrate my point, I'm going to make myself a lovely cup of tea. Now, I might upset some people here because I'm not using a teapot, but I'm hopefully going to still come out with a decent cup of tea by the end of it. So, first of all, I am going to take a tea bag and I'm going to put it in my mug. And then secondly, I'm going to take some hot water. You'll see, if you look carefully, I think you can see that there's steam coming out from the top. Certainly when I pour, hopefully you'll see the steam. It's been pre-boiled, it is boiling water, just right for making a lovely cup of tea there. Put my kettle to one side again. And then I like my tea with milk. So I am going to open up the milk bottle and I'm going to add some milk. I'm going to let my tea just sit for a moment or two because I like it reasonably strong. So going to let a bit more tea flavour go into the mix before eventually thinking to myself, yes, that cup of tea looks just about right for me. So there we go, a lovely cup of tea. And then I think to myself, well, I don't really just want a cup of tea. I'd quite like to have something nice and sweet and tasty with it. So I had a little look and I found myself a recipe online. And that recipe, if you can take a look there, is a recipe for cupcakes. Now, the recipe says that for our cupcakes, I need 110 grams of softened butter, 110 grams of golden castor sugar, 2 large eggs, half a spoon of vanilla extract, and some self-raising flour. If I were to put all that together and to bake it for about 35 minutes, I would have some delicious cupcakes to have with my cup of tea. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's not very nice, Miss Bayliss. You've got a lovely cup of tea, and if you were to cook those cakes, you'd have a lovely cake to go with it. Why is that important? Why is that linked to the idea of importance? Well, I want you to think, when I was making my tea or when I was explaining how the cake should be made, which of those ingredients did you think was the most important? In the cup of tea, did you think it was the tea bag that was the most important? In the cake, did you think that it was the sugar that was the most important? No doubt quite a few of you have a variety of ideas about what you think is the most important ingredient in those two different things that I would be making for myself. But actually, if any of the ingredients were missing in any of the recipes, then it just wouldn't be right. The tea without the boiling water wouldn't be tea. The cake without the flour simply wouldn't rise. And whatever you personally think is the most important, in fact, any missing ingredient would make a huge difference to both the drink and the cake. Now, we often like the idea of being the most important, but just like every ingredient for the tea and the cake, every one of us is important for different reasons. We are all important to places like school and places like home. And just as a cake would not be the same without sugar or flour or margarine or butter, so our schools and homes would not be the same without us. We all have a vital role to play. Just take a moment to think and remind yourself that you actually make a huge difference to the people around you. Whether it's in school, whether it's in home. Think about how you make that difference. The little things that you do that make people happy or that help people out. You are important, and your home and school would just not be the same without you. But you're not the most important. The people around you are also important, and your home and school would not be the same without them either. So, for today, we were thinking about importance, and the message is that we are all equally important. To finish off, again, I've got another song that we've been enjoying before lockdown in our assemblies. It's the Together song, because I thought, well, if we're talking about us all being equally important, then the idea of us working together is indeed a really good way to finish this assembly. So hopefully you will enjoy hearing that song that you haven't heard for a little while. And whilst you enjoy that, I'm going to enjoy my cup of tea. Cheers!